Yes, today I am channeling my inner Cindy Lou Who. That's what's happening here with this hair, and I totally love it. I'm totally loving it. I am longing for my long hair, and so that's what's happening here. Okay, so tonight we are going to be doing mantra meditation and prayer together. And tonight's mantra that we're going to use is, may I release and trust in transformation. And this is coming up today because one of the fabulous members of We brought just the idea of talking about letting go. And so I have allowed that to inspire this evening's chat and this evening's mantra. And so when we think about letting go, one of the reasons that it is so challenging is because there is a level of attachment to things, to people, and to stories. And in the Buddha's practice, this was his main study, was how can I end human suffering, or what is it about human suffering that I can come to understand? And his finding was attachment. And so we all have our own experience with attachment, and often we can find the things that we're attached to when we start noticing the story that we tell. And hi guys. And when we start noticing the story that we tell, we can see how we have put little hooks into the story that are actually aspects of ourselves that are innately within us, but we have put them externally, either on a person or a job or a physical thing. And so once we have our hooks in a story that is outside of us, and then all of a sudden we have to let that thing go, we can be very deeply challenged because we may have easily tied up our feeling of self-worth and our feeling of identity, who we think we are, our feeling of comfort, our feeling of power and significance could all be wrapped up in this story that we once were telling. And we no longer have that story. We may no longer have the job. We may no longer have the person. We may no longer have the thing that was giving us value. And so when we are talking about letting go, it's valuable to start to understand what are the stories that I tell, because once the story has to change, or if that story doesn't exist anymore, often what happens is that within ourselves we start to wonder, okay, well then who am I now, or who am I really? And we have a difficult time not just letting go of the thing, but really what's happening is we're searching for those pieces of ourselves that we placed on an object or a person externally that we need to call back in. And I totally empathize with anyone who goes through this. I think most of us will go through this at some point in our life, because it's extremely confronting to have to face our own truth, or to face the things about ourselves that we may not like. That the truth is, we may not understand why we're worthy. We may not understand what our power is or how to hold it. And if this comes up for you, I strongly encourage that you take your fierce compassion and you go inward and you bring tremendous amount of care to the exploration of yourself and the coming to understand who you really are. And that as truth starts to crack open for you, and beliefs that you may have held in your mind that were distorted, when they start to be eradicated, essentially what's happening is that, yes, we're letting go, but we're letting go because we're transforming. And letting go is on the road to transformation. And so tonight's mantra, may I release and trust in transformation, we're putting our focus there because ultimately we can think of something as, oh, we have to let it go because either it was forced on us, or maybe we want to because we know that it's not serving us anymore. Or we can change the verbiage and we can say, I'm willing to transform. I'm willing to transform the place that I am now and to be somewhere different. Because if we hold on to these stories that, you know, A lot of the time you'll realize that when you meet people, it's often, oh, what do you do? And oh, I'm a this or I'm a that. And so what happens is when we lose that job, we lose that title, a lot of the time there's other things that go with it. There might be finances, but there also might be our identity, the way that we feel significant, the way that we feel important, the way that we feel comfortable in the world. And so when those things leave us, or people who leave us, then we no longer have that way to identify with ourselves that was once familiar. And so what comes up again is the need to explore who we really are, where our true value comes from, and how we can transform our belief and our deep knowing that everything that we are is within and that it's enough. And so transformation is something that we, as people of the time of energy, are really beginning to understand. And when I say energy people, what I mean is that we live in a time where the atom has been split open. So we know that it's not matter creating energy. We know that it's energy creating matter. And what that means is that also energy is not created or destroyed, it just transforms. And so if we think of letting go as a process of this transformation, then we can transform the way that we feel about ourselves, the way that we connect to ourselves. And I just want to put a little pause in, because when it comes to love and letting go of people that we love, whether it's because of choices that were made or because of death, love, the energy of love is eternal. It's unbound, and you don't have to ever worry about that needing to transform or change or letting go of that. What you're letting go of is the story attached to that person. But the love is eternal and it's boundless, and that will carry on forever. For some people, though, in the process of letting go of a relationship, you may find that love does transform. It might transform into acceptance. It might transform into forgiveness. It might transform into gratitude or appreciation. If we have a job that once was serving us and we no longer can identify with, that job has given you things, has transformed you in a way that can't be broken now. When that job leaves, those skills remain. That ability to problem solve, or that ability to use your resources or research around you, those are skills that you've earned, that you've worked for, and they're yours. And again, it comes back to realizing that that power, that ability is within you. It doesn't belong to the job. You carry it with you, and as you transform, those skills will come into play. And when we think about letting go in terms of material things or money, ultimately what's happening is that we're creating space. And some people like to go through purges, and I totally encourage that if it helps you. I think it's quite a healthy process, and it starts to create space. And from the perspective of Ayurveda, space is what we call the ether, and space is subtle and it's clear, and it is the place that's connected to the chakra that's just above your head, and it is where information and creativity and visionary ideas, music, sound, start to enter into the physical realm. And so when you think about creating space in your life, physical space, in your closet, or there's more space in your bank account, really you have a lot of opportunity there for a lot of beginnings and a lot of new things to come in, whether it's new ideas that are going to spark a different way to create finances, or whether it's going to clear out some of the energy that was heavy and holding you down in your space. Really, it's still just transforming ultimately in the process of letting go. So if you've never sat with me before, what we'll do is the first round will direct the prayer inwardly to ourselves. So may I release and trust in transformation. And then the second round will expand it outwardly, and it will be may you release and trust in transformation. And the third round will be may all beings release and trust in transformation. And I will be guiding you with breath indicated, and I'll also be repeating the mantra for you in case you forget it. And then as we move through, I'll just slowly start to drop off words, and I do this just to encourage you to repeat it internally so that you know that it's there. And if you forget it, don't worry, I'll probably jump back in and repeat it again. So if you are still needing to move about the world, then go ahead, move about. And if you are lying down or seated, just come to a comfortable position and see if you can close your eyes, let your hands fall naturally. And just take a big inhale breath and exhale any way you want. But notice as the next breath goes in, automatic. See if you can start to feel the body. Notice the weight of it. Notice if your palms are facing up or down. And as you breathe, maybe you can acknowledge a time currently in your life where you're being asked to let go. You're being asked to transform. And just breathe into that space, any challenges that arise. Seeing it from a bird's eye view. Noticing the fears that might be present with it. Or maybe the excitement and the longing. Just notice your chest rising and falling. And see as you inhale if you can pull the breath down a little bit lower into the belly. And as you see yourself from a bird's eye view in this place and time of transformation and change, know that you are supported. And as you direct this prayer inwardly, may the words resonate and land somewhere on your heart. We open our hearts to the counsels of light that surround us, to the spirits that guide us, and the angels that watch over us. Please hear our prayer. Let's begin. Take an inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. 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 Inhale. May I release and trust. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May I release and trust. Inhale. May I release. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May I release and trust. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May I release and trust. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May I release. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May I release and trust in transformation. Take a big inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Just keeping the eyes closed, keeping the breath fluid. We move now to the second round. May you trust, release and trust in transformation. And as we offer this prayer outwardly, I want you to think about somebody who you see maybe in your day-to-day life, but this is the person that you don't know very much about. And the reason we do that is to help keep the emotions equanimous, meaning we don't have a lot of emotional charge when we wish this prayer. And as we begin offering this prayer, think of this person who maybe delivers your mail or you purchase groceries from, and just offer it from a neutral place in your heart. And naturally, as you continue to wish it outwardly, you will probably see faces of people you love or energy of people you love coming forth. And at that time, you can wish it towards these people. Just refrain, please, from sending it directly to someone whom you have intimate relationships with. The Buddha believes there's too much emotional attachment and trust that they will receive benefit just in you practicing this prayer. Take an inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Let's begin. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. 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 Inhale. May you release and trust. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May you release. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May you release and trust. Inhale. May you release. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. 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 May you release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. Take a big inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. And keeping the eyes closed, we'll begin our final round, where we offer the prayer outwardly to all beings. It's easier for the mind to conceptualize if we start closer to us. So maybe just the other people living in our building or on our street. And naturally, as we repeat this prayer, just allow the heart to expand as it will. For some of you, this may include your district, your town, maybe your whole province, other provinces or states, and maybe even beyond the boundaries of your own country. Take an inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Let's begin. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May all beings release and trust. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. May all beings. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Inhale. May all beings release and trust. Inhale. 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 May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. 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 May all beings release and trust in transformation. Inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Keeping the eyes closed, bringing your hands together in prayer. God, we open our hearts to you and ask for your guidance in times when we need to transform. Help us understand that the stories we have told ourselves, the stories that we're linked into, and the stories that we've given our power and identity away to, let us understand that they can be reclaimed, that all that we need is within, that the true essence of our being, our worth, our value, it's within us, and it is deeply connected to you and your eternal force. Let us love, and let us love in unbound ways, knowing that all love is eternal, never being destroyed. And from that love and our experience of it, we will transform and grow. And we will write new stories. We will feel full. And we will know that we are enough as we are. Amen. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's my pleasure to be with you on Wednesday evenings, and I always appreciate the comfort of seeing you here. And I'll be here next Wednesday if you want to join me, same time. And if this time doesn't work for you, then the videos are always available on Facebook. It's a group called We, capital W, capital E, period, and it says welcome everyone every Wednesday. And so you can find all of the videos that we've done so far are there if you need to access mantra meditation at some point during your day. And just to remember that when you are doing the practice of mantra, essentially we're practicing mindfulness. We're making the mind full of specific words and intentions to direct our mind and focus it in a specific area. And it's natural if your mind wanders or other things arise during your practice. It's an interesting thing actually when you start doing mantra, because you realize how many other conversations can be going on inside your head. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just acknowledge if you're curious and you want to explore. And if you want to use the mantra to anchor you back in, then that's what it's there for. So much love to you all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.